StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of wait for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is you get what you accept. Before we get into this, I remind you all of two things. First of all, my daily motivation and Monday motivation messages guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day or your week, respectively. All you got to do to receive these is be a member of my texting community. It is free to join. Just text me at my number, 305-384-6894. Once we start sending those messages out again, you'll be getting them straight to your phone. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. Have me as your direct coach. Get access to our trainings and programs for your personal and professional development. Have me walking you along the path through your mindset, your strategies, your systems, and the accountability to make sure you implement fully for your highest level of performance done consistently to produce results. That's all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Link is in the description of wherever you are consuming this. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. I just told you about Work on Your Game University. I told you both things quickly. I'm so fast, I forgot. Now, with all that out the way, let's get into the topic here today, which is you get what you accept. Now, this title is pretty straightforward, and you should accept this title literally, because that is what we're going to talk about here today. And it's all about understanding that your life is a reflection of the things that you have allowed to exist in your life, not a reflection of circumstances that have been foisted upon you. Let me say that again. This is all about understanding that your life is a reflection of the things that you have allowed to exist in your life. And that wording is very specific for a reason. It is not a reflection of circumstances that have been foisted upon you. Even though there are circumstances that have been foisted upon you, your life is not a reflection of the circumstances. Your life is a reflection of what you have allowed. And I want to make sure you understand the difference between the two. The purpose of this episode is to empower you to understand that you can take control of how your life is and what it looks like, regardless of the circumstances abound. Point number one. Topic once again today is you get what you accept. Number one, life will continue to give you anything that you continue to tolerate. Life will continue to give you anything which you continue to tolerate. Definition of tolerate is to allow the existence, occurrence, or practice of something that one does not necessarily like or agree with. That's what tolerating means. And also means without interference. Let me say the whole definition again. Allow the existence, occurrence, or practice of something that one does not necessarily like or agree with without interference. So tolerating means you are letting it be, whatever it is. Anything that you allow to be, whether you like it or not, it will perpetuate. It will perpetuate itself in your life. The challenge that many people have when dealing with unwanted circumstances is simply that you continue to tolerate the circumstances and do not make a decision about getting rid of, eliminating, or changing the circumstance. Many people just tolerate a circumstance. They tell themselves a story, they come to accept it, they just let it be, or they whine and bitch about it, but don't actually do anything about it. And this is why it doesn't go away. You just continue to tolerate a circumstance. For whatever reason that you're tolerating it, you never make the decision that you're going to get rid of it, eliminate it, or change it. Therefore, it doesn't go away. It won't leave. This is the reason why things continue to exist in our lives. Anything that you choose to not tolerate, it will be removed from your life. Anything you choose to not tolerate, it will be removed from your life. The problem many people have is your rampant indecision. One of the 17 major causes of failure in life is a slowness towards and a lack of resolve in decision making. People are just indecisive, too slow to make a decision, never actually make a decision, or they call themselves making a decision when it's not really a decision. What many people have is a bunch of preferences, hopes, and wishes, but they haven't made decisions. And there's a difference between that group and that thing. Decision is one thing, but a preference, hope, a wish, a desire, those are all in one other package, meaning it's something that'll be nice to have. I want to have it, but you haven't made the decision that you're actually going to get it. Therefore, you won't. Decision, the root word decision is from the word incision. It comes from the Latin decidere, meaning to cut off. Literally, it means to cut off. That's what decision means. So when you make a decision, you are cutting off every other option other than the one you've decided on. So my question is, there's something in your life that you are tolerating that you know you shouldn't be tolerating. What the hell is the holdup for you to make a decision to get rid of it? This is not a rhetorical question. What the hell is the holdup for you to make a decision to get rid of it? The root of the entire issue is that many people want to keep all of their options open. This is just human nature. Many people want to have as many options as possible for everything to possibly happen in their lives when you actually need to do the opposite and cut a whole bunch of things off. So I'm going to repeat again. I repeated a lot of things in this first point. I want to repeat this one again because this one is very important to the crux of everything that we're talking about. It's the crux of this conversation. Many people want to keep all of their options open for everything to possibly happen in life when the actual key to moving yourself forward is cutting things off. It's not giving yourself as many choices as possible. It's giving yourself fewer choices. Because when you have fewer choices, guess what happens? You get to focus. And focus is a force multiplier. When you have fewer choices, guess what also happens? You have no choice but to make things happen with the few options you have given yourself. Therefore, you're not looking all around at all the other possibilities. Instead, you're focusing on the possibilities that you have narrowed your options down to. Many people paradoxically think the opposite way, and this is how many people end up not going too far and not getting much done. Trying to do too much all at the same time. Anytime a human being is trying to focus on more than one thing, you're focusing on too many things. You have a limitation. You can only focus on one thing at a time. When you make a decision, you're cutting off every other option. You're giving yourself only one thing to focus on. Guess what? Magic formula. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is you get what you accept. Number 2, most people don't get what they want in life because they are unwilling to demand it. Some of you listen to me right now. There are things that you want that you have the capability of having, you have the potential to get, you even have the resources to acquire it, have it, enjoy it, use it, throw it away if you want to. The reason that you don't have it right now is simply because you have been unwilling to make a demand of life that it give it to you. And because you've been unwilling to make a demand, it ain't happening. All right, it's sitting right there on the other side of the door. But since you haven't made a demand to open the door, then the door ain't open. And here you are on the other side of it, wondering, hoping, wishing, praying, desiring that you have what's on the other side of the door. But the door ain't opening based on a wish. It will open based on a demand, however. Yes, that's a hint. People ask for what they want from life, but they don't demand what they want from life. I want you to consider these two terms. Everybody knows what these two terms mean. All of you know what it feels like to ask a question or to have a question asked of you. Everyone here also knows what it means to make a demand of someone for something or to have a demand made of you. Now, which one happens more often? More often people are asking questions, but a demand is this absolutely must happen. And I'm not giving you the option of saying yes or no, of consenting or denying. It's absolutely happening. So an example of this, any of you who are parents, you can make demands of your kids. All right, clean your room, go to bed, take a shower, stop doing that. All right, sit down or stand up, whatever it is, you can make a demand. And that demand better be met. Otherwise, there will be consequences and repercussions. But if you ask someone something, well, they can say yes, they can say no. Now, you may not mean it that way. Like, for example, if you're a boss, you might say to one of your employees, hey, can I ask you to clean up the counter? Now, you're not really giving them the option of saying no. They probably get fired if they told you no. But you're saying it in a way to let them know that you're kind of trying to be diplomatic about it and make it seem like you're in it together, but you're really telling them what to do. A demand is not like that. A demand is not soft. A demand is not soft. A demand is, this is absolutely what I want. I'm not giving you options, and I'm not asking you how you feel about it. This is what I want, and this better happen. That's what a demand is. So many people, when they ask and not demand, you understand the difference, right? Because a request can be denied. Nobody denies a demand. You ever heard of a demand being denied? Here's what happens when a demand gets denied. When a demand gets denied, whatever the alternative is for the person who made the demand, they go do the alternative. So the demand could be, I'll give a demand like this. I could say to, let's say I have someone working for me. Let's say I'm running to McDonald's and I make a demand and I say, clean off the grill. And one of my employees says, no, I'm not cleaning off the grill. So my demand was they clean off the grill. And they say, no, I'm not cleaning up the grill. Well, what is my alternative? My alternative is your ass is fired. Get the hell out and take off your employee shirt and give me your name tag and your hat on your way out. That's the other side of a demand. See, when a demand is not met, there is a consequence. or the consequence is strong enough that the demand has no choice but to be met. And when the demand is not met, the consequence is levied against whoever or whatever did not meet the demand, and then you're going to make the exact same demand somewhere or to someone else who can meet your demand. But the demand is not optional. A demand is not optional. I'll give you another story. Years ago, Donald Trump, when he was before he got into politics, everyone knows Trump was in the real estate, commercial real estate business. And he had these Trump hotels with casinos, and I believe he still has one in Vegas, but he did a lot of his business early on was in Atlantic City. So he had a Trump casino in Atlantic City, and he would, in his heyday of running his businesses, he would walk around his own properties and make sure that everything was in its proper place and looked the way it was supposed to, and everything was clean and pristine, beautiful. And people who went to Trump places back in the day said that these places were very immaculately put together. So in this particular situation, Trump is walking around his property, and he has a assistant walking around with him with a little clipboard taking notes of anything that Trump notices, like, hey, it's dust up here, or make sure this chair is fixed, or this is the wrong color, or fix these drapes or something like that. So Trump goes into a bathroom in his property, and the bathroom is just trash. There's water all over the floor. There's a bath tissue on the floor. It's just dirty. It's not cleaned up at all. He looks at the person with the clipboard and he sells to them, get this fixed ASAP. And the person with the clipboard goes scurrying off to make sure that it gets fixed. Trump goes and leaves the bathroom. He starts walking around other aspects of the facility, and he's walking, looking at other things. And he's supposed to be going in one direction, but he stops at one point, turns around, and goes back to the bathroom. Mind you, he got his little team of people following him because they're taking notes on everything that he's pointing out that needs to be fixed. So he turns around, the whole team is following him, and he goes right back into that same bathroom that had been trashed before. And he looks at the person, and he opens the door to the bathroom, and the bathroom is still trashed. It's still not fixed and not cleaned up at all from how it was the first time that he looked at it. He looks at the person with the clipboard, and he says to them, hey, I thought I told you to get this bathroom cleaned. And the person with the clipboard says, well, it's only been 10 minutes. And Trump looks at them and says, well, right now, you got 10 minutes to go fire the guy who was supposed to do this and get this bathroom clean. And he turns around and walks out again. That's a demand. I want you to notice the whole story, not just the part about what he said to the person, but the whole story, which was he said, get it fixed. 10 minutes went by. No progress had been made. He said, go fire the person who was supposed to make progress. And now you're on the clock to get it fixed, or you're going to be the next one that gets fired. That's what a demand looks like, folks. My question to you is, when's the last time you made a demand of life? And being that, and I talk to a lot of people, being that many of you listening to this cannot answer that question because you can't even remember the last time you made a demand of life, this should clearly explain to you why you don't have the thing that you want, or the things, plural, that you want. Because you're not making demands, you're making requests. You're sharing your wishes and your hopes and your dreams, your visions, but you're not making demands. There's nothing wrong with having wishes, hopes, and dreams and requests and desires and goals and all of those things, but demands get met. Again, think about that story that I just told you. You got 10 minutes to go fire the guy who was supposed to do the job. Now you're on the clock to get the job done, and you're going to be the next one fired if you don't do the job. And he would have fired everybody there if they didn't get that job done. That's what a demand sounds like. When's the last time you made a demand? Again, I'm just asking the question. What are you demanding of yourself? When's the last time you made a demand of yourself? When's the last time you made a demand of life? When's the last time you made a demand of anyone, anywhere, doing anything other than maybe your kids? If you work with kids, let's leave kids out of it. When's the last time you made a demand of an adult, starting with the person in the mirror? The things that you absolutely must have in life all the time and without fail, those are the things that you have demanded. Think about it. Think about the things in your life that you absolutely have all the time without fail. Those are the things you demanded. You're in great physical shape. You've made a demand to be in great physical shape. You got great financial shape. You made a demand to be in great financial shape. You have great relationships. You demanded that happens. You got a show that comes out every single day. You made a demand that the show's coming out every single day. Whatever you're doing consistently and you're proud of it and happy about it, there is a demand behind that, even if you didn't call it a demand, but there's a demand there. That's why it keeps happening. You would not accept it not happening. All right, just like Trump with that bathroom. You wouldn't accept anything less, and guess what? That's why it's at a certain level. That's also known as a standard, ladies and gentlemen. You see how all these points connect? The things that you like having, maybe you want more of, but you don't always have them consistently, those are the ones that you're merely asking for. You haven't demanded them, you're asking for them. You want more of anything in life, you just got to be more willing to demand it, and you must be willing to stand behind your demands with standards, processes, and disciplines to make sure that the demand gets met. Should I say that one again? If you want more of anything in life, you just got to be willing to demand of it. You must be willing to stand behind your demand by putting standards, processes, and disciplines in place to make sure that the demand gets met. And there must be a consequence for the demand not being satisfied. The question is, are you willing to levy the consequence? Whatever it may be. Are you willing to fire the guy who was supposed to clean the bathroom? Or are you not? See, if you're not willing to fire them, then you can't make a demand. You see, a demand is only as strong as whatever or whomever you're making the demand of. They had to believe that something bad will happen if they don't meet your demand. If they don't believe that, and or they're right that nothing's going to happen, then you're not in a position to make a demand. You're unqualified to make a demand because you ain't going to do nothing. If they don't follow through, what you going to do? Nothing? Okay, then there's not a demand. See, if you demand that you wake up early, an hour earlier than usual to go to the gym and work out, then you will get up an hour early and work out if it's a demand. Now, if it's a request, if it's a nice to have, it's a hope, a wish, or a dream, then you'll find yourself sleeping in for 45 minutes. Oh, and I know who you are. Yes. And whoever you are that you know that I'm talking about you, there are like 20 other yous that also fit that description. Oh, yeah, I know. I talk to a lot of you. I know. So the question is, are you making demands or are you making requests? Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is you get what you accept. Napoleon Hill laid out the 17 causes of failure in life. I mentioned this earlier. One of the causes is indecision. It was near the top of his list. Indecision. What does that mean? Simply not making a decision, not cutting off every other option, trying to give yourself as many options as possible to the point that you die by analysis via paralysis or paralysis via analysis. Many people make decisions slow, if they make decisions at all. And then even after they make a decision, many people are often changing their decision. So you're not even firm in the decision once you finally make one. So you're cutting things off, then you're like, oh, let me get those pieces I cut off and put them back together. Let me glue them back together again. I want to give myself more options again. This is how many people end up stuck. Compounding the problem, many people are not strong in the decisions that they do make, meaning that they will allegedly decide on something, then go back and allow the thing that they have allegedly cut off to happen anyway. All right, as if you didn't even make the decision in the first place. Let me say that sentence again, because this one happens all the time. Many people are not strong in their decision making. So you'll make a decision, allegedly, and then you'll go back and allow the thing that you allegedly cut off to happen anyway. It's like somebody making a decision, I'm not going to eat candy anymore. And you take all the candy in your pantry and you throw it in the garbage, and then 5 minutes later, you fish all the candy out of the garbage and eat it anyway. All right, you didn't really make a decision. I actually heard a lady tell that story once, years ago. I don't remember what the source of the story was, but the woman was talking about how she knew she needed to get some type of coaching for her life or personal training or something like that. And she listened to some motivational tape. She took all of the junk food out of her pantry and she threw it in the trash, especially the chocolate, because her thing was chocolate. That was her vice. And then 15 minutes later, she pulled the chocolate out of the trash can and ate it. And while she was sitting there wallowing in self-pity from eating the chocolate that she just pulled out of the trash, she felt like a piece of shit. And that's when she realized that she needed to do something different. And that's when she went and hired a coach and et cetera, and everything changed from there. The point is, that's how many of you are. Many of you are the person sitting on the kitchen floor and wallowing in self-pity and self-loathing because you just ate a whole bunch of chocolate that you pulled out of the trash can that you allegedly decided to throw away and never eat again. That's how many of you are living your life. You threw the chocolate in the trash and you pulled it out and ate it. And now you feel like shit. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. All right, so this is like the person who decided, I don't want to date this guy or girl anymore. I'm completely done with this guy. I'm completely done with this girl. But there you are 3 weeks later having sex with them, spending the night at their house again. Because you didn't really make a decision. All right, so the good thing about decisions, folks, is that they constrict your options. That's what a decision does. See, again, many people have this wrong. Many people got it backwards. A lot of you believe you want to have as many options as possible. I say no, you want to have as few options as possible. Why? Because when you have few options, you're not looking around and getting distracted from what the hell you're supposed to be doing. That's the problem many of you have, is that you are too distracted because you have too many things to do. Instead, you want to give yourself as few things to do as possible so that you can only focus on those. There's nothing else to look at, and focus is a force multiplier. But if you never focus, guess what? Your force never multiplies. And there you are, right there in the mirror. When you constrict your own options through decision making, you have a much narrower path to follow. And again, you don't have any choices to make. Many people are indecisive because of the paradox of choice. There's just too many options. There's the old story that there was a donkey who was really hungry and really thirsty at the same time. He came to a point where there was food 10 feet to his left and there was water 10 feet to his right. You know which one he went and got first? Neither one. He died standing in the middle because he couldn't decide which one to go to first. That's how most of you live your life. There's food to the left, there's water to the right. You die of hunger and thirst because you can't decide which one to go to first. And by the way, you should have took the water. All right, water is more important than food. Anyway, even in our world of abundant options, the most successful people, you know what they do? The most successful people only see a few options for themselves. The world we live in today gives us way too many choices. No human can go through every choice that we have. The most successful people only see a few options for themselves, and the few options that they see for themselves are only the options that work out best for them. That's why they're successful. They don't give themselves an option of anything less than what they want. The most successful people do not give themselves the option of having anything less than what they want. They make a decision that that's what they must have. They put the processes, the standards, and the disciplines in place to have those things consistently, and they don't allow themselves to even see anything other than that. That's why they're successful. They only see a few options. They don't see every option. They have every option. They don't see every option. There's a difference. They have every option, but they only see a few options. Many of you have many options and you're seeing too many options, and this is why you can't focus. Because you're trying to look at 10 things at the same time. That's impossible. Humanly impossible. Many of you incorrectly, again, you think the opposite, that successful people, they see every option. Technically, they have every option. Again, they limit themselves. Here's the discipline. They limit themselves to only a few options. And they're only the ones that they want. So no matter what happens, they get what they want. And guess what we call that? We call that success, right? People wanting something and they only get what they want. That's success, right? You wanting something and not getting it, we call that failure or mediocrity. If it happens sometimes, but not other times, that's where many people live, somewhere in the middle. I suggest you get on the other side. Get on the success side. This is what I want. I'm not allowing anything other than this. What's stopping you from doing that? Nothing. And this is the key right here. Successful people limit their options, but not in a way that you may think when I say limiting. I just explained to you what it means. They cut off all the stuff they don't want, and the only options left are the stuff that they do want. So no matter what happens, they win. You understand this? Okay. Can you do this? Of course you can. And I'm going to tell you where to get my help in doing it. Let's recap today's class, first of all. Which is you get what you accept. Again, this title is pretty straightforward. Number one, life will keep giving you anything you continue to tolerate. Anything you keep accepting, life is going to keep giving it to you. And tolerate means to allow the existence, occurrence, or practice of something that one does not necessarily like or agree with without interference. If you are not pushing back against things that you don't want in life, then those things will stay there and they will not go away. It's like a stray cat comes into your house. If you don't kick the cat out, it's going to stay there. You got to get it out. Number two, most people don't get what they want because they're unwilling to demand it. And demand is different than a request, is different than a wish, a hope, or a dream. Many of you have a bunch of wishes, hopes, and dreams. You are not making any demands. A demand has consequences on the other side, and a demand is not allowing options. There are no options when you give a demand. A demand is this needs to happen this way, this place, this time, right now. Again, think back to that story I told you about Donald Trump and his casino back in the day. He said, you got 10 minutes to go fire the other guy and get this fixed. And if you don't, then I'm going to fire you. He didn't say that part, but that was the unspoken warning he was given to that person who was about to go tell somebody else to go get the job done. Point number three, Napoleon Hill, 17 causes of failure. Near the top of that list was indecision. People are slow to make decisions, slow to enforce decisions, and then they go back on their own decisions. You call yourself cutting something off, and then before you know it, you're putting those same pieces that you allegedly cut off right back on there, giving yourself options all over again. Many of you paradoxically have the wrong idea about what success is about. You think success means having every option and seeing every option available to you, whereas success really means having every option, but only giving yourself a few options. I have every option. Let's say, think about the things that you want in life. Think about some aspect of your life that you want to be great. You may have every option available to you, but there are only a few options that you actually want. Those are the ones you need to make a demand of. You cut off your access to every other option, meaning that even though you technically could have it, you're not even seeing it as a possibility. You're demanding that your only outcome can be the thing that you decided on. That's what success looks like. Success is about narrowing options, not about expanding them. Again, if you understand the context in which I'm saying this. Make sure you text me so you're in my community, and you want to learn how to you want to learn how to implement all of this stuff and put it to work in your own life and start making demands and getting the results that you want, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. I will be there to be your direct coach. Work on your game. Dre, all